Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Smile. And if you're tuning in on the day that this episode drops, Happy New Year! It is the first day of 2026, and I am so excited to have you here listening along and to be here to join my guest today. One of my most beautiful friends, a woman I respect, I admire, and I absolutely adore. Holistic psychologist Laura Corcoran. Welcome back to the show, Laura. How are you today?
I am so good. My gosh, thanks for such a beautiful introduction. My body is full of goosebumps
Yeah.
because, like, we're thinking about the new year 2026, and it's just this feeling of aliveness, which I know we'll speak about, but 2025 did not feel alive, felt very contracting. So now it's like, oh my God, it's here. I can feel it viscerally in my DNA. So I'm super excited for it.
Feel exactly the same. So we're obviously recording this a couple of weeks before the end of the year because we really wanted to get this episode out on New Year's Day to really tap into the potency of the timing. And I know there's a lot of people around this time of year who are looking to make some really powerful changes. And we're going to talk about that today. But before we do, my goodness, can we just take a moment to acknowledge that we've made it through 2025, like you said? Bit of a shit show on all accounts from many, many people that I've been speaking to. If you follow the Chinese horoscopes, then you'll know that it was the year of the snake, which comes with a lot of shedding, a lot of letting go. And so I really want to know, what has it been, Laura, that you've let go of this year?
Well, before I jumped on here, Ash asked me the question. I was like, fuck, have we got 7 hours? Like to even just, 7 months. But really, I think if you would have asked me this question a while ago, I wouldn't have known because I was still in the depths of it. I would have said, oh, I'm letting go of a relationship. I'm letting go of, it was quite superficial where now I can genuinely say a lot of it has been letting go of me having to prove my worth, me
Mm.
having to show up in a way that I felt was authentic, but finding out that it wasn't. And it was still this little girl within me being like, love me, validate me, accept me, see me. You make me feel important
Mm.
from a very subconscious way. And I felt like I was showing up as this integral woman, which we'll speak about this because I think when we're in that, we do feel like we are in that space. It's not like we're showing up in these ways,
Mm.
manipulatively on purpose. But when we go through these contractive periods and there's massive challenges and there's massive sheddings and letting go and seeing what's really not serving you when you come out of denial, then you really truly see how you've actually been showing up in a way that wasn't you, that
Yes.
has been a part of your identity for way too long.
Mm.
And that without going into the ins and outs of every single thing that I've shared, it's come down to that,
Mm.
to no longer prove my worth to anyone or anything outside of myself and fully just love who I am.
I so relate to that idea of when you're in it, you're not aware that there's a layer of dishonesty that might be playing out, a layer of denial, because it's almost a bit of a protective mechanism, isn't it? In
Mhm.
recovery, we talk about our character defects as part of the 12-step program. And I like to reframe those as maladaptive coping mechanisms, the things that we've used throughout our life. And for a time, they've worked. And it's only once we get that next layer of leveling up, self-awareness, letting go, that, hindsight's 2020, you can look back and go, oh, I see what I was doing there. But you're so right. In the moment, it's not about being out of alignment or out of integrity. You're doing the absolute best you can do in that moment, but you're doing it with the information and the level of consciousness that you're in. So once you elevate that, then you get this whole new layer of awakening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And I think that, and I love how you just explained all of that. The biggest thing within that has been letting go. And God, I want to talk about this actually, because when people say simple, like just let it go, just like it used to really piss me off. I'd be like, well, I'm letting it go, but this is where the mind comes in about, but how?
Mm.
And this has been my biggest challenge, being such an analytical thinker, which is a superpower of mine, but it's also one of my greatest nemesis. Let's go to say, like, how much my mind will just create something out of nothing to keep me protected,
Mm.
that I've really had to let go of the stories, let go of the thinking, really understanding what is a thought and what is thinking and understanding all of that and letting go of these emotions that I'm still trying to resist.
Mm.
feeling. And it kind of goes back into that really beautiful way that you were just explaining that then about we don't actually know. I wouldn't have known that I was resisting how I was self-abandoning myself so much, or not speaking my truth, or not feeling like I just felt like I didn't matter. That was one of the biggest shadows I had to face. I had to just
Mm.
keep saying like I don't matter, but my mind would be like, of course you matter. Of course you matter. Look at all these things that make you matter outside of you, but genuinely internally I just felt like I didn't matter. So
Mm.
then I would try to make myself matter from the outside. And it was in that moment where it was really just facing off. And when we say let go, it's really, like I said, let go. Well, I let go of materialistic stuff. I let go of my business. I let go of relationships. I let go of, and I sat in the feeling of deep terror. I
Mm.
feel like that's the layer that comes up, deep terror of like, who, like, I couldn't even understand what it even was. It wasn't like, who am I without this? It was really coming to understand that these things don't make me the woman that I am,
Mm.
and fully trusting and surrendering and letting go to the idea that they do,
Mm.
and fully trusting and surrendering and letting go of, if these things are meant to be in my life, they will find a way back to me. And my God, I'm holding on to the table. Because being through it now, like, because everyone will even hear my energy or feel it, compared to the last podcast where we had, where I was in it,
Yes.
I was just like, I can't believe I made it. There was moments where I was like, I can't do it. Can't do it. I'm just going to go back to what I knew. There was this energy within me that was like, but you created your success from this. You created this identity from this. Like, let's just do it. Let's launch the program. You know what you're doing. I was like, no, there was a deeper thing within me that's like, no, this is a place that you need to be, in this void. And it was so isolating, even though there was people around me. No one understood it. No one,
Mm.
I felt like no one experienced it. Like no one got it. No one got me. But again, there were layers coming up too of not belonging and not feeling connected and feeling different and feeling too much and shit. There was just a lot.
Mm.
But when we go back to the simple letting go, I want to give you the how. It's like,
Mm.
can you really just trust and surrender that if you let go of the thing that you're attaching to that is creating the biggest resistance in your life? Can you let go of it and trust yourself more than anything? That if it's meant to be in alignment for you, that it will boomerang back around, because it has. Everything that I let go of has pretty much come back into alignment. Everything that's meant for me, in the most beautiful, expansive ways.
Mm.
And the ones that haven't. And that's
Mm.
been still elevating me in ways that I couldn't imagine.
Mm.
But the letting go process is that, and it's scary and it sounds super simple, like just let go.
Mm.
But it's deep terror of going back to that survival instinct and understanding that I think I'm going to die without
Mm.
this thing. I don't think I'm actually going to survive it. I don't think I'm ever going to find someone who loves me that much anymore. I don't think I'm ever going to create success in my business where I can give back to the community and serve women in the way that I felt like I could before. There was all of that. I feel like I
Mm.
can't do any of that anymore.
Mm.
And it's such a hard, dense place to sit in. And this is why it's so important that you have women in your circle like us that have navigated it through the embodiment side of it. And knowing that what it means to let go and holding you there until you come through the other side and being like, oh my
Mm.
God, I actually just went into the void and I just like kind of like tread water through the void and I was shit scared. And now I'm on the other side and I can breathe
I
bigger
love
than I've
what
ever
you
breathed
said.
before.
Yeah, it's the word that I really attach to there is surrender, because that's something that's come up for me time and time again over the last 6 years, and that trust in what is meant for you will not pass you by. And I know that I found that particularly when it came to relationships. I found that really, really difficult because I wanted to hold on, I wanted to fix it, I wanted to make it better. And when I couldn't do that, I made that mean that there was something wrong with me, when that was all very much self will. If I were just to trust in, for me, it's a higher power, God, whatever you call it, angels, spirits, universe, if you can truly trust that that is working in your favor and it only ever wants the best for you, then it allows you to soften into that surrender with a little bit more peace. It's still not easy, but I'm curious
Yeah.
to know, what is it that allows you to lean into that trust? What is it like? Do you pray? I know meditation is big for you and you've got your practices, but over particularly the
Mm.
last 12 months, what is it that you probably lent into the most?
My God, it's been so interesting because as I was saying before about me being so analytical and being a psychologist, and I've got every modality under my armpit known to man that I absolutely love. But the biggest thing that I actually find in this is that the modalities were actually another form of resistance. The modalities were another way of me escaping what I actually needed to feel. Oh, God, it makes me emotional thinking about it. It's going to be an emotional one.
I got you.
And I remember this one moment that we look to people outside of ourselves to give us what we need. Like, just tell me that it's not my fault. Tell me that I'm valuable. Tell me I'm important. And we do it in these ways where we're like telling our story, but subconsciously we're just wanting to hear it's not you. You're not, it's not you. And gosh, like so many people were just so loving and kind. And I would be tapping on myself. And I even took myself into a holotropic breath work and had this really beautiful release. And then I'd just so many modalities, Ash. I'd be
Mm.
subconsciously rewiring my bloody thoughts. I was just doing it all until just one time I just felt all this anger. And I was just like, I need to go and release this in a way. Because if I don't, I'm probably going to project it all over my parents. I'm going to not be able, I'm just not going to be, my children are going to be affected. And there was just this internal urge to just go into the bush and release it. So I just went and found this space in the middle of the bush. And I was literally, I don't even know how, back then I didn't know who I was speaking to, but I was like, just don't take the pain away. Just give me the strength to get through it.
Mm.
Just give me the strength. Because I think me doing the modalities and me speaking to these people was me wanting the pain to go away,
Yeah.
was someone fixing my pain. So I was like just praying and speaking and just asking, like, I know I need to go through the wormhole, but just give me the strength because I feel like I don't have it.
Mm.
And it was from that moment. And then I just kind of left it and I danced and I somatically released. And I was howling and grieving and all of the things. And then it was from that moment on that it was almost like I felt this opening or I felt the strength. So then it was more me then anchoring into a higher power and asking for guidance that way rather than constantly doing these practices.
Mm.
And it was huge for me to recognize that because anyone that comes into my world, and I'm very intuitive in terms of the practices that I give and whatever flows through me, it's super powerful and transformational. But I honestly feel like it was a deeper surrender into me really being with the feeling and not
Mm.
running from it and knowing that something around me was holding me through it.
Mm.
And it was one of the hardest things because I remember there was this time where I was like almost having this conversational argument with a part of myself because the part of me is like, but it's no one physical, like they can't hug you. And I'm like, but it doesn't matter. It's an energy, it's a felt sense of feeling safe and loved by something that isn't physical. And then there was
Mm.
this other part of me that was like, but it's boring. Like that's nothingness. So I came to connect with so many different parts of me and love them and give them compassion and guide them in a really powerful way through that, whilst connecting to a deeper spiritual practice in a way that I
Mm.
haven't. So I
Mm.
came and I definitely use modalities still, but it's more for regulation practices or if I want to deepen a program further.
Mm.
But for me to really be with whatever's coming through me, it's to really be with it and say to it, you're safe to be here. I'm not going anywhere. Oh,
I just love this whole idea of, because you and I both know through lived experience that pain,
mm,
the greater the pain, the greater the growth. And
mm,
your pain is a teacher, it is feedback, and it's an alarm bell saying, like, hey, come on, it's time to look at this. And
mm,
that can be such a gift. So to not wish the pain away, but rather tap into something that's greater than you, that you can reach out to find strength, to find the inner strength. That's the growth. Now you get to then
yeah,
step into this new version of you, and that is the shedding, right?
it
It's
is.
not about getting someone else to fix you. It's about moving through it, feel it to heal it, and then you get to level up. Wow. I love that.
And it's the simplicity of it. I think this was what was mind blowing for me because I think there's so many of us going, but how do we do that? And what's the modality to fix that? And I need an energy clearing and I need to go breathe and I need to go see a psychic, you know? And it's just resistance for everyone that's listening to this. I'm not saying don't do them things, but recognize how often you reach for the external to give you an answer that you absolutely can find within. You just need to stay with yourself long enough. So, one of the practices that I did was I sat in stillness, and your mind will be like, okay, I'm bored now. I've got to go do the washing. And I would then commit to staying for another 10 minutes longer when that started.
Mm,
And then I just didn't want to leave. It was almost like when you get past the resistance point, I actually then didn't want to leave that space because it was so peaceful and I was getting downloads. And it was almost like all of these questions that I had were then being fulfilled within me. And I think that's one of the most powerful parts,
mm,
especially as women who have learned to be hyper independent and hyper vigilant and so unsafe in our bodies, that we become super successful and driven in our masculine, but we're craving this depth and this connection. In our relationships, we want our partners to ask questions or just sit with our emotions or, whatever, plan a date.
mm.
Really, what we're actually longing for is the connection to ourself.
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest thing for me through this year is that what my mission is now is to get women to feel so connected to who they are in a really powerful, intuitive way that relationships, wealth, success just comes to them with so much ease because we
Yeah.
become the receivership of it. Because we've both been there, Ash. We're not forcing, we're not pushing. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, of course, I can launch a program and create 100 grand if I want to. But it was still masculine. It was still having to prove. It was still like, oh, look what I can earn. It was very egoic. Where now it's like to be of service,
Mm.
not for me to prove to the external world that I'm worthy, specifically to men, was my
Mhm.
thing, but that I'm worthy just because I am. And
Yeah.
what happens from that is we attract
Mm.
opportunities, we attract connections, we attract conversations. Oh, it's just the things that happen. And it's hard to really feel that until you've experienced it. But the most powerful point is that all of it has come from you, it's come
Mm.
from us.
Absolutely. I think that's been a big realization and light bulb moment for me. And it's so funny because I feel like I learned this lesson and then another year rolls by and I learn it on such a deeper level. And I'm like, oh, now I
Yeah.
get it. And then I bet you in another
Yeah.
12 months, I'm going to be sitting here going, oh, no, no, no. Now I get it. And there was something that you said there around what was it? I mean, I love the idea of we don't want to like, I'm no longer here to strive, to force, to push, to prove. And
Mm.
that's what I wanted to say. I think there's a really, I want to make a clear distinction because I absolutely agree with you. So often we can look for the outside things to fix us, but you're also somebody who is such an embodiment of this work and has been doing this work for a really long time. So I think if you're in a similar place where you've got all the tools, but you've been avoiding them, and so you search for someone else to fix you, then listen to Laura's advice there. Actually, just be with self. But if you're somebody completely new to this world who's never done breath work or somatic work or any kind of talk therapy, whatever it may be, then get someone to support you. Get them to teach you the tools because we need that guidance, right? Someone to show you the way. And then once you've learnt those tools, you can take it from there and actually embody the works. Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
it's so, so important to have both. And I've definitely
Yeah.
been guilty of knowing everything, well, knowing as much as I know, but still feeling like the solution is in somebody else's answer. And it's not. The solution is
Mm.
100% within. And it's actually just doing, sometimes the boring practices, the things that don't feel super sexy that give you the greatest result. And I know for me, in
Yeah.
terms of what I've been shedding this year, it has absolutely been ideas and identities. And I really related to what you said about letting go of the material. And I don't even necessarily so much mean financial there. And I also don't mean that I don't have ambition and drive. I think you can still have those things, but it's the attachment
Absolutely.
to the what it looks like, the shininess of it all,
Mm.
and how you then receive external validation of those things. And so how I personally put that into practice was, as you know, I got married this year. I came home from my honeymoon. Then I was home for 2 weeks. Then I was back in Bali. I was running retreats and I just hadn't taken any time. I hadn't been alone. I hadn't been in my routine. I hadn't been doing the work for, it was like 3 months. And as a result, it should be no surprise. I absolutely hit a wall. I burnt out. And I just got really, really honest with myself. And I said, what is all of this for? You're showing up in all of these different areas. You're not showing up in any particular area at 100% because you're so burnt out. And so I absolutely committed to 3 months of slowing down. And that was really, really scary because I was letting go of
Mhm.
work that was paying my bills, was letting go of opportunities and offers that my ego was craving. But I knew that it was in service of something greater. And that was my truth. That was my integrity. And also to actually embody the work that I share because I felt like I was giving from an empty cup. And yet I was telling other women to fill their cup. And that just felt so disingenuous. And yet
Mm,
I've come to the end of this 3-month period and I'm telling you, I've never been happier. And what I mean by that is I
I love
really don't
that.
I don't love the word happy because I feel like that can be it can be so dependent on external. What I mean by that though, my happiness is very much interchanged with peace and contentment. And I'm just waking up
Mm.
every day at the moment, fully present, like gratitude pouring out of me. Like I just like it really it makes me emotional because I just think to myself, I'm finally in this position. And it's also, for me, it's seasonal. Like, I'm also getting really, I wouldn't say I'm getting itchy feet, but I'm getting ready to go again. But it's
Yeah.
almost like that seasonal. I needed the hibernation, and funnily enough, like I
Mm,
was in summer when we were in winter here. So I missed that season, and funnily enough, it caught
mm,
up with me. I think it's so important to understand that we need to have these periods of rest. We need to have these periods of going within so that we can then get the energy and the strength. But the what was most important was this falling away of I need to be doing this, looking like this, earning this, achieving this to be enough. Like I think I've
yeah.
finally been able to go, that's not the case for me anymore, like it's
Yeah. I love that.
oh, feels so good.
It
So
would.
freeing.
It would. And with that as well, I wonder if you resonate because I remember when I was in that, I felt energized and motivated and driven. I felt like I was like high on life when I was in that mode. When I've come to understand that as cortisol and adrenaline and
Yes.
survival and stress. I was just like, I don't want to let it go because that's when I feel most energized. Where now it's like the peace that I feel about just being able to sit at the pool with my babies or go for a bike ride with them without my phone and not wondering who's going to message next or how well my post went or, like constantly being on because that's what give me those hits. Where now it's like the
100%.
simplicity of life, which I never thought I would say, if I'm
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
But then you create so much space to be more creative and intentional and integral with what you're aligned with,
Mm.
you know?
And I just know that I'm showing up as the best version of myself. There's just been this real shift, even on a deeper level of how I feel about myself. Like, and I know that sounds a
Mm,
little weird, but like I deeply love myself and I'm so proud of the
yeah.
woman I'm showing up as in all areas of my
Mm,
life. I don't know, like I'm not doing the bullshit anymore. Like I'm
yeah.
speaking my truth with kindness. Uh,
Mm,
I'm not people pleasing. There's no manipulation or dishonesty playing out. And that's
love
been
it.
stuff that I've had to work on. They were like, that was
Mhm.
my mode of operation before I got sober. That's how I moved in the world. So to be able to really let that go on a deep, deep layer and level, it's just, yeah, there's a sense of like, I'm really proud of the woman I'm becoming.
Freedom too.
Yeah, the freedom as
Love
well.
that.
But, it's not easy. And I really do understand for all the women who are listening along right now who are at that point where they feel like they're burnt out. They feel like they've got children and jobs and partners and they're juggling everything. And it's like, you know, it's the thought of letting that go or changing or putting yourself first. It just feels so overwhelming, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I love that, and especially just going back in terms of needing someone in your corner for all of this, it's so true, and I definitely had 3 people, mentors in my corner through this whole experience because we can't see it
Mm,
sometimes. We can't see it because we're too busy running from it and too busy protecting ourselves from the truth, but then when we see it, we can't unsee it, and I think the biggest point is when you have people in your energetic space, it's not even what they say, it's how you feel around them because of the embodiment of it. And you can feel this with anyone if you're around them. Because I think we're going to speak into that as well about the integral embodiment piece is that when you're around a woman or someone who fully embodies their truth or is integral and really deeply feels and knows who they are, and they don't really not care because that sounds quite arrogant, but they're not attached to what people feel back to
Mm.
them.
Mm.
There's an energetic felt sense. So when you're around that woman, you're more like, who is she? Like, she doesn't say much, but there's this feeling around her. And
Mm.
that's when true transformation happens. You don't even need to say anything. You don't even need to figure out how it happened. But just the energetic calibration of being in the room with them type of women is
Mm.
when really things shift for you as well, because you see versions of yourself in them that can be quite confronting too if you've not embodied them. But that's the beauty of it, where you get to really see yourself and go, my gosh, like
Mm.
you've just shown me a part of me that I've never acknowledged within me before.
Mm. Mm.
And, similar to you, like you were saying, it's the letting go of that and being okay with the relationships going and just the things going that, again, it's not that you don't care about them because I definitely love luxury and a beautiful lifestyle, but I'm not attached to it being who I am anymore, similar to you.
Mm.
And then it becomes easier because of that. But I think a lot of women out there were too busy striving to wear all of the hats to prove that we're worthy enough. The amount of clients and women that I work with, and it's about like so much fear around if I let this go, then who's going to pick it up?
Yes.
All of these limitations and fears that they don't even understand what it's about, or if I don't do this, or if I'm not there for the kids and I'm not there for the husband, am I going to be left? Am I not good enough? Like,
Mm.
again, we're still proving who we are instead of like, I'm good enough because I'm me, but truly feeling it, not logically saying it,
Yeah.
truly feeling it is the difference.
Mm.
And then when you truly feel it, it's reflected in your
Mm.
relationships because you're
Mm.
not asking others to change. You're not proving, you're not attached to being a particular way to receive something. You're just embodied in it. So you
Mm.
naturally receive it because you're not desperately trying to get it.
Mhm.
And that's what I desire for all women. They can have absolutely all of it, no matter what path they choose to take, without feeling the need to work and prove themselves for it. Um,
Mm.
because that in itself is so unfulfilling, you know?
It's so contrary to everything that we've been taught from society, from the expectations and the pressures of the world around us, let alone the expectations and pressures that we put on ourselves. And I think a lot of the time it comes from, this deep sense of lack of worthlessness, of not being enough. And I know, like, I really identify with the core wound of being unworthy. But what's been really interesting through working on myself and doing these practices and embodying this work for the last 6 years is that I'm now, I've just shared about it, like the thoughts I have about me and the way I feel about myself as a person has meant that it's so funny. And it's hard to explain this, but I know you're going to get it. So let's just go with it. And I hope everyone else can understand what I mean. But like, I'm just so much less bothered now. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much that's been going on lately. And I can see people in my life getting really worked up about it and really reactive and really offended and all this stuff. And I'm just like, I mean, it's very on par with Mel Robbins' Let Them. But it's like, I'm just like,
Yeah.
because I know I'm so comfortable and confident in the way that I'm showing up and that I'm in my integrity that like it's like,
Mm.
yeah, sure, they can feel that way. That doesn't mean I have to. And as somebody who was
Yeah.
a chronic codependent in a past life, like to be free from that again, like going back to that idea of freedom and peace of mind, like it's so much better than the other way.
Yeah. I feel you on that too.
Yeah.
That's with the codependency piece, it's that I feel like that causes so much suffering.
Okay.
Because it's like, just see me. And then we're monitoring what we're saying and how we're
Mhm.
showing up and how we're
Mhm.
being, and just so much energy into contorting and twisting ourselves like a pretzel to feel loved by someone outside of ourselves. And I mean, this could be a whole new podcast, but we come to learn that these beautiful people and situations come into our life to highlight what we need to look at to
Mm.
stop contorting ourselves in ways that is so uncomfortable
Mm,
for us to really come back and just own who we are and
mm.
recognize. Because I don't know about you, but there was a lot of times where I'd say something, I'd be like, oh my God, did I say that in a horrible way? Like, I didn't, it's almost like I had this belief that I was a horrible person or I didn't express myself in a way that was kind, which just was not true. Like the
Yeah.
feedback I got all the time was not true, but I felt like that was obviously a limitation that I had. So then anytime I expressed myself, I would then give myself a hard time about it. Or
Mm,
anytime I took an action on myself, I'd give myself a hard time. So it's like I couldn't even express myself freely. I couldn't even do things without completely degrading myself in the whole process of it.
that's
And then when you
self-doubt.
say you come back, yeah. And then when you come back to like, no, I actually know that I've got a amazing heart. The way that I show up is always in kindness. It's always with the best interest of everyone, even if it makes them uncomfortable. Like really claiming that, that's the freedom of not changing yourself anymore for somebody else. And if
Mm,
you say
mm,
something, you then don't. Because you just reminded me then, like when I say something now, I don't then go away and scrutinize it for the next 6 days of
mm.
what I just said. And now
Yeah.
all of that energy that we were doing with all of these things, even the guilt towards our kids, oh my God, I did the wrong thing. I shouldn't have done that. Oh, it's just endless. Now you just have this energy of to be able to be fully present with where you are. And I think that's a lot of the fears that women are so afraid of presence
Mm, mm.
because they don't have to fill the void with distraction anymore. It's like I felt it was quite boring being present. It's almost like, what's the next thing? Where now, oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah, and I guess that goes back to that idea of if your baseline for the last 10, 15, 20 years has been high stress, high cortisol, type A personality, perfectionist, achieve, achieve, strive, strive. And now we're sitting here saying, actually, the thing that you're looking for is in the other direction. That's really it's so foreign, it's uncomfortable, it's boring. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because the mind will tell you something is boring to distract you because it doesn't want to sit in the shit. It doesn't want to feel the feelings. So, I find
Yeah.
this comes up a lot when I'm taking people through a yin yoga practice because there's so much stillness of the body and the mind.
Mm,
And that's so incredibly uncomfortable. And it's so counterintuitive to the way that we live life. The fact that in that particular practice, the less you do, the more you'll achieve. And if only we could
yeah.
apply that to life, I think it's
Well,
the
it's
same.
simple, isn't it? It's simple, but that's what I mean about the analytical mind of the woman. We're so powerful that we just need to know the step by step process of how to get through the process. And that is the resistance, and that's what prolongs the pain.
Mm.
But when we can learn to be with ourselves, I mean, I'm curious for you, Ash, because I'm trying to like think now about when I was going through that period of like, what was I so afraid of? Just sitting in the stillness or just being with myself where I wasn't distracting because it was like massive urges, like addictive urges of needing to get away from myself, basically.
Mm.
And it's almost like I can't remember now. It's like I've got amnesia to it. But I think it was no, I know what it was. It was the deep sense of loneliness that I felt in those moments. I did not want to be with that. I didn't want to be with how lonely I felt. And like I said, those beliefs around I'm too much, I'm too intuitive. People don't understand me. People don't get me. People can't keep up with me. I don't belong, and I think my whole life I've tried to belong in the wrong ways.
Of course.
That when I actually sat with myself in those stillness spaces, it was feeling
Mm.
that deep sense of loneliness that I've been running from for a long time because it's just you. Well, it was just me and the water. But what I
Mm.
came to understand from that is that I found a deeper connection with the water and the stars and the moon and the sky and the sun
Mm.
and spirit and the creator to see that I've never actually been alone ever.
That's exactly right. And I think it comes, I think about, my time when I was in active addiction and very much a lot of the time I was drinking to numb that sense of feeling alone. But even in recovery, it's really interesting what I've noticed, particularly being part of a 12-step program, is the mind will start to tell you stories to disconnect you, to tell you that you don't fit in, these people don't like you, you know, that meeting's giving me the shits, like whatever it is, there's all these stories that our mind will tell us to keep us, for me, that's like the devil on the shoulder. It's the negative energy. It's the stuff that wants to pull you down to keep you stuck. Because if you stay there, what else is in that sphere of loneliness? There's fear, there's uncertainty. It's all this very low vibration energy. And
Mm.
from there's not a lot we can do. Yet the truth being, and the other thing of that is that's the part that will tell you the solution is out there. It
Yeah.
couldn't possibly be here because right now we're here and it's shit and it's dark and it's fucked and everything's too hard and you know what I mean? And then it feeds off that.
Yeah.
So we go, well, what do I need? Is it a drink? Is it a man? Is it a job? Is it a duh? No, it's none of that. It's actually already there. I feel like this is like
Mm.
my life's work now is like the journey of coming home to self and guiding others through that
It's so
because
true. I love
it's
it.
all there within, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it's so true, like how you kind of like go from one to the next. Like you were saying, like my wanted to go on Hinge, I wanted to drink and smoke, and I haven't done that in years. And then I wanted to start running programs and completely create this whole thing in my business and all of it. And I was convincing myself, no, this is my intuition.
Yeah.
It feels good. It feels expensive. And this
Yeah.
is why you need to go into these containers with women who have
Yes.
been that because you will convince yourself, no, this is my intuition. It feels expensive because,
Mm,
intuition feels expensive and fear feels contracted. But I'm telling you now, it's your ego trying to convince you that this is expansion when it's actually still protection and distraction. It's
totally.
just,
And hitting those that need of for validation or whatever it is and the
yeah,
old
the
patterns and
hits.
stories. Yes. But
Yeah.
once you can let go of that, it's like, "Oh, I don't need that anymore." That doesn't mean I'm
Yeah.
not gonna still step into a space where I can achieve these things, but it will be coming from a completely different place, and it's no longer so that I can
Yeah.
fill the hole in my soul because I'm already complete.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Love it.
good. Okay.
It's
I
good.
wanna
It's good when you throw it for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk about what 2026 is looking like. It's obviously the first day of the year if you're tuning in the day this episode drops. And so we're moving from and look, technically Chinese New Year isn't until February. So we're in a little bit of a portal right now where we're still letting go, energy of the snake, shedding, but we're also stepping into this year of the horse, which is very bold, very courageous, very dynamic. We can move really fast. We rest when we need. Knowing that that's the energy of this year, I'm super keen to know what are you calling in? Yeah, let's start with that and then I'll ask you part two of that question.
What am I calling in?
Mm,
Well, I've already known this from probably September last year, knowing that the end of the year 2025 for me, which was still in, was all like the delayering, the decluttering, the letting go. To know that my energy and my purpose is all going to be with my children, creating
mm,
family life balance, and to be of service to women who I believe are shrinking themselves in relationships, in careers where they don't feel fulfilled, in health, in wellness, in all pillars of life. And all of my energy is going to be dedicated to be of service to that because I've embodied it and I've lived it. And I know that every woman can have. You don't have to sacrifice one for the other. You don't have to prove yourself. You don't have to keep striving from this force. So I've been feeling this energetic build of everything and all of it going into that,
mm,
embodying it from an integral perspective, and then being the mirror of that to my community and my audience, to any woman that actually comes into my life.
mm,
Because I wasn't living that before I was speaking it. But, yes, I could have my kids home, but I wasn't present, So I
mm,
was like, oh, I'm this mom that has all this life balance. And it's like, yeah, my kids are at home with me, but I'm still not there.
mm,
Where that's very different this year for me. So it's all about my pillars, which I've already started leading into the new year around health and wellness, looking after me first, making sure I move, making sure I nourish my body, which my nutrition has completely changed as well, which is really interesting. And then not filling my mind with more things I need to learn, but
mm,
actually just being in being in my body and being intuitively guided with the practices that I want and need in that moment. More
mm,
fun, more pleasure, more joy, more play, more connections in a deeper way. Because I think, there was a part of me that was afraid because I felt like I was too much, that I still had to be a part of these connections that didn't enlighten me, I didn't feel alive after I left the the space or the energy of particular people. But I'd
Mm,
stay there because I felt like if I didn't, then who would I have? Like who, I'd be alone again. When now I'm not worried about that. I'm quite happy to be with me and the aloneness until I create these really beautiful relationships that we can have conversations like this and actually be honest and
mm,
open
mm,
in the
mm.
way we speak about that. Yeah.
As you were talking, I was like feeling a lot in my body, like my whole body's like just electric and alive right now. And this happens whenever we get together and we have these conversations, which is why we love it. But
Yeah.
it's something that I picked up on then as you were sharing was your energy and your intuition will always guide you. So if you're listening along today and you've just got that feeling that something's not right, then that is your sign to do something about it. And I'm realizing this on a deeper layer now because of the last 3 months. And I've been in this slow season and I'm feeling so much better. And so for me, stepping into 2026, it's really about, you know, similar to you, embodiment. So finding the balance of what's my sweet spot, in terms of all areas of life, health, wealth, relationships, community, service. How can I show up in all of those areas as the best version of myself, as the full embodiment of that? And it really means, again, another shedding of the ego and these old ideas. And I know, because I know me quite well now, that there is going to be opportunities that will arise, temptations that I need to just keep coming back to this key moment, this feeling of how I'm feeling right now, and to ask myself, is that opportunity in alignment with the person that I am now and the embodiment of who I am? Is it going to take away from the feeling I have right now, or is it going to expand on this feeling?
Mm,
So it's not that
mm,
I definitely want to accelerate and, I'll step into different spaces in the new year and we've got some really exciting things happening. In fact, you and I are doing something incredibly exciting, which we'll talk about in a moment, but always checking in to go, listening to that energetic feedback, listening to my intuition and going, is this because I know how quickly I could fall back into the ash of,
cool.
2024, who was just like, you know, working so hard at such a rapid rate and then getting to that point of burnout. And I don't want to get there again because
Mm,
this
mm,
version of me, I really like her and I love the life that I've built in that awareness. So yeah, definitely for me, my word of the is going to be embodiment, and then that's how I'm going to show up and continue to call myself out. Particularly if I'm slipping back into old habits of being too much in the doing and
mm,
that need for validation and whatnot. But
mm.
that's
Love
something
that.
that we're going to talk about on our retreat, which we are running in May
Yes.
of this year, 2026. And I'm so, so excited. So
Mhm.
let's talk about it because we haven't really shared too much about it up until now. And it's been a bit of a top secret project for you and I, but it's something that we're both so, so excited to bring to the world. So we're running the Embodied Woman Retreat. It's on the 14th of May, isn't it? And it's going to be 3 nights in the Gold Coast hinterlands in this incredible property. I love what you were saying before, how you took yourself out to the bush to do those processes. We're basically running this retreat in this beautiful eco retreat, but it's in the bush, it's in the hinterlands. It's absolutely gorgeous. What are you most looking forward to, Laura?
Well, I think when we started speaking about this retreat, it was what I feel women do is that they don't allow themselves to feel luxury. They don't allow themselves to receive what they deserve.
Mm,
And that doesn't mean money, but it means to be held. It means to retreat in a space where they can really feel that, oh my gosh, like the luxury of themselves because it's
mm,
reflected back to them from the retreat. And obviously, since we were speaking about it, I've still been shedding so much. So God knows what we'll even bring to the retreat in May, but it's going to be magical and massive.
yes.
But for me, it's about allowing women to fully own who they are and again detach from this idea of who they need to be to feel loved and to feel connected. And I know they'll feel this on the retreat because every woman in that space will feel so connected to the other woman that they're going to leave feeling that I'm not alone in this, and I've been navigating the world in a very different way that I've really wanted to, for them to understand that they're amazing mothers, amazing partners, that you don't have to necessarily like leave your relationship or leave your career, but let's just get to the nitty gritty of you feeling so integral with the woman that you are that every area that you show up in feels alive. And if it
Mm,
doesn't, we get to clear that up at the retreat. So you leave knowing that every step you make moving forward is from your highest self,
mm,
not from the old self trying to create validation and to seek approval, love, and worth from outside of
mm.
you because you deserve so much better than that.
So, so true. You know what my favorite thing about retreats are is I feel like they're a little bit like this magical vortex where you go in and the transformation that takes place is on steroids. Like it happens, it's so expansive, it's so potent, the energy in there. I often feel like it's the same as if you were to do 6 months of one-on-one coaching, but it happens
That's
in
it.
three days, 4 days. It's just, and I can't explain it. And until you've been on a retreat, and look, I'm sure there's retreats out there that maybe don't give that experience, but every retreat that I've ever run or even attended, I've had that experience. And I think that's something that you and I are both so passionate about, is making sure that every single person that comes into this space, this container with us, leaves feeling like they've met the deepest parts of themselves in a really safe way.
Yeah. Well,
Mm,
I think that's the whole energy of the retreat as well, is for every woman to feel safe within their own
mm,
bodies,
mm,
because there's just too much unsafety within women. And that's when we make these decisions that feel so out of alignment. Plus, it's the fact that we don't give ourselves permission enough. I do now, like, but I never used to give myself permission to go on a retreat or have a massage. There was always like,
mm,
who's going to organize the kids? And these are the patterns. Who's going to organize the kids? Oh my God, I can't take that time off work. I can't, like, and what I'm going to encourage you to do is like really go into the worst case scenario. Like, just really
mm,
embody it. Let's just feel into, okay, what if my husband has the kids for 2 days? What's the worst case? Can I handle it? What if I take this time off work unpaid? What's the worst case? Can I handle it? You will
mm,
always find that what your mind's trying to create, you're not going to be homeless. No one's going to die. Like,
mm.
our minds will fabricate this stuff because we feel unsafe in our bodies. And that's what the retreat's actually about. You make the
Yeah.
commitment to yourself to come into that space, to leave feeling that you've met the edge. Because
Mhm,
if you don't decide because you can't manage the time or you can't sort the kids or you're doing all of the roles again, that's you still going back into that old pattern and program.
mm,
When you actually go, fuck it, I'm just going to book it and it's going to figure itself out, the trust surrender process, because it feels aligned. I'm really resonating what these ladies are saying. Then I'm just going to do it, and I'm going to trust it's going to figure itself out. And that is the
yes,
edge. That is the
yes,
edge. I just got goosebumps. That you
yeah.
need to, because we're too busy being like, oh, I got to process, I got to process, I've got to process with no action. It's like, how's about you just action and then you'll actually go into the process by default.
You'll figure
And
it
what will
out,
happen is the
yeah,
rewiring will happen on that whole path from you doing it. That's what
mm,
I'm excited about, because that's where I've always made decisions from never knowing how it's going to work out, but knowing it feels good. And every
mm,
single time it's been and worked out perfectly. And I've just become an
mm.
even better version of myself. So yeah, the safety in that, knowing that you can be held, you can hold yourself, that everything's going to be fine, um, is what I'm excited for women to feel through this retreat.
Yeah, me too. I've never ever regretted going on a retreat, and it is like for a lot of people it is a stretch. You are stepping out of your comfort zone. You're going into an environment with new people, and that's can be overwhelming, scary, all of the things, but I've never ever ever not been shifted in a really deep way from stepping, and that can be in anything. We all know when you step outside your comfort zone, that's where the growth happens. It's not in the comfort of your four walls at home, in the daily grind, in burnout. Like and one thing I know for sure is if you move into 2026 and you continue to repeat the same behaviors and patterns that you have always done, then I'm going to guarantee you that it's going to feel a lot like 2025 and the year before that and the year before that. So if you're craving change, do something different. And that, I guess, leads me into what I want to talk about. Oh, I'll just let you guys know. I'll pop the info for the retreat if it's exciting and you're feeling good. I'll pop those in the show notes. But what I want to chat about, Laura, is what is it that, moving into 2026, what would be something that you would encourage women in particular? Men might be listening along too, but something that you could do to start that change. If somebody just feels like they're so stuck and they want to start to see progress in their life, some shifts happening, but the concept of that feels so overwhelming they wouldn't even know where to start outside of attending a
Yeah.
retreat. What else could they do? What could they do right now in their home?
I love that. And it's a great question because a lot of women come to me and they want to change a lot of things in life. And that's the overwhelming part. It's like, where do I even start with that? But I would encourage you to write down, what are the sticky points? Is it the fact that you don't feel connected in your relationship? Is it the fact that you feel guilt because you're not present with your kids? Is it the fact that you're not nourishing your body? Like, write them all down. And then I would encourage you to start with just one thing and commit to that first. Because what you'll find is when you commit to the one thing, you're honoring yourself, you're trusting yourself, you're showing up for yourself, and it ripples into the others anyway. So say for me, for example, I felt just this overwhelming guilt that I really wanted to be present with my kids, but then I go into autopilot and then I get frustrated with the kids, but I deeply long to just be there with them. So then I made a commitment that every single night or every morning, because I've got 3 kids, one, I would connect with my daughter via phone at some point during the week. My youngest one, I would play with her and do what she needed to do. And then the third is with Lockie in the afternoons. He just loved my time. So that was what I needed to commit to. And then from that, I felt good. The guilt went. So then I started nourishing my body better because I felt good. I wasn't sabotaged and trying to punish myself even more. And then I felt more connected in my relationship with my kids. So then organically I felt connected. So it's just
The
choose one. You
flow
don't have
on.
to, you don't have to do all of it. Just write down what it is that you're really feeling disconnected in, and then start with one and commit to that for at least 21 days, and you'll find that it will all change anyway.
Amazing. That's such great
Yeah.
advice. Laura, I have just loved chatting with you
Me
today.
too.
And I cannot wait to hang out together on the Gold Coast
Mhm.
in May. I'll be coming up to your hood. There is one
So
final
excited.
question though. Normally I
Yeah.
ask, what are your 3 non-negotiables to live happy, authentic, and free? But what I want to ask you today is, what are your 3 non-negotiables moving into 2026?
Love that. More play for
Yeah.
sure. Naivety is what actually lights me up. So there'll be a lot more of that. Illness still. I'm actually completely taking Fridays to myself. And I've decided that I'm going to go beach hop. I'm going to go explore different beaches. So that's one of the things that I want to do in 2026, and connection to the people that I love, making more time for them people where I feel so loved and supported in their environments, making that a non-negotiable as well.
Absolutely beautiful. I'm so grateful to you. I'm so grateful for your time. We say here on Behind the Smile that when we recover loudly, no one needs suffer in silence. So thank you so much for joining us here
My pleasure.
again on the
Loved it.
show. Lots
Thanks,
of love,
Ash.
honey. Bye.
Bye.